Hey everybody, this is Jacob with Mortgage Coach Software Support. This tutorial is to show you how to input a HELOC second that is adjustable. So we're not just talking about an interest-only HELOC, we're talking about one that actually adjusts with prime. So the way you would do it is go ahead and put in your loan parameters as you normally would. And we'll give them an interest rate. Now you want to use the term that was well, obviously you want to check on the term for this, but most HELOCs are going to be about a 300-month term, 25 years. If it does have a different term, go ahead and use that. But it's pretty important to put this in here because when you get to the end of the HELOC, if they've had an interest-only HELOC for the entire time and have not made any payments to principal, it's going to call for a lump sum payment at the end of it. So you want to make sure you put the term correctly on this so Edge knows where to call for that sum. But the next step is, instead of making it a fixed loan, make it an ARM. And this one I'm going to make IO for the entire term, so it's going to be 300 is going to be my interest-only months here. And I don't need to specify a balloon month. It's automatically going to recast at month 300 and expect that lump sum. So the next part of this is now we need to put in the ARM details. So for all the caps and adjustments, you don't really need to fill all of these out. If it's just a HELOC that's tied to prime, all you're going to do is select your index here. So we go down and select prime. Now, if it was something like prime plus 1, so their current rate would be at 4 1/4, you can put in a 1 on the margin here, and that's actually going to be prime plus 1 going forward. Now, the adjustments going out, if we just leave it like this, it's going to stay at 4 1/4 for the entire life of the loan. That's obviously not what we want to have happen. So what we do want to have happen is we want to show a progressive adjustment out. And most of these HELOCs probably don't have a life cap on it, so you're going to kind of have to use one of your own specification. So in this case, if they're at 4 1/4, I might want to put my life cap somewhere around 8% or something like that. But if we want to do that, I'll show you what this looks like. If we do an 8% here, we're going to leave it at worst case scenario because we want it to adjust out to this life cap over time. The initial caps and the periodic caps are the two things that we would need to do anything with at this point. If we just wanted to adjust out, let's say, for instance, I wanted to specify that it's going to adjust out by 1/8% every 6 months until it hits the life cap. What I would do is I'd put in my 1/8 up on the first adjustment cap and the periodic adjustment cap. Now, the first adjustment month, I'm going to make month 2. This is coming up, so we're not waiting for it. Month 2 is a first potential adjustment. And then remember I said I wanted this to adjust about every 6 months. You can do this every month, but if you go an 1/8 of the month, you're going to get a life cap really fast, and it's probably not going to be too realistic for your client. So I like using 6, maybe even 12 months here. But the data entry on the ARM is now done. So what this assumes is it assumes that at the second month, so the month after they close this, it has the potential of adjusting an 1/8. So it's going to do that. Then every 6 months from there on out, it'll keep adjusting another 1/8 until it gets to your life cap of 8% here. Now there's another way to do it as well. You don't necessarily have to choose all these figures. Instead, you can come into your scenario and choose a custom scenario instead. And you can see, now that I've done my custom scenario, you can see where we're at right now. We have prime plus 1 was 4 1/4. And my first adjustment there came out to 5.625, and you can see I'm progressively going out towards the life cap here. This is what happens when you specify the worst case scenario. Now you can of course tailor any of these adjustments to do whatever you want. So for instance, if I wanted to say like, for instance the 13 month, I wanted this to come down a half a point. I could do minus 0.5. And then you can see it's now brought the rate down to 5 1/4, and then it goes back on that 1/8 rising going all the way through. So the idea behind keeping this compliant is we've got to get to a life cap somewhere. We've got to show the worst case potential scenario for what this HELOC can do over time. Now that obviously if there's no real life cap defined on your rate sheets or on your guidelines, you're going to have to kind of choose one. And you kind of choose one based on what you've seen the market traditionally do for prime. But that said, if you have any questions on this, feel free to contact us over at support@mortgagecoach.com. I'd be happy to help you out and look over your scenarios for you and see if we can do something that'll make it work for you. Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.